Hello everyone from Senior Vitality. This is Jannell from Community Tech Network and welcome back to our channel. This lesson is about the camera. I'm going to show you a bit about the app, how to take pictures, how to zoom in, all those very basic functions of taking photos on the iPad. So the first thing you might be wondering is, well, where are the cameras on the iPad? This is good to know so that you could point these cameras directly on the objects or people, things, places, anything that you would like to be taking a photo of. For one, there are two cameras on the iPad. One is on the front, right here. So it looks like a black dot. It's going to be on one end of your iPad. So find your home button and then just go to its opposite side. Right? The other is on the back. And to be more exact, it's going to be on one of the top corners along the same side that your front camera is. So what I mean by that is, here's my front camera. Therefore, the other camera is going to be on the back of this same side, but on one of the corners. And so an easy way to find it too is also to find your lock button on the corner. And then just turn your iPad around, you'll find the other camera located on that back corner. So I know mine is going to be right there in the back. For these recording purposes, I won't be showing you that, but hopefully you will be able to identify it with those directions. So then, how do you access these cameras? Well, in order for these to turn on, you would need to be using some kind of app that needs to use your camera. So for example, some of you might be going on Zoom, a video conferencing app. So that app would activate your camera should you give it permission. Another one would be FaceTime. That is a video calling app that you can use to see others or to show others what it is exactly that you are looking at, your face, anything like that. The point is, that is another app that opens up your camera if you give it permission. Another one is Photo Booth, iMovie. So there could be a variety of different apps that utilize your cameras if you give it permission and turn them on. But of course, one of the most basic apps here that you can use to activate these cameras to take photos and videos is the camera app. So that's the one we will be talking about today. So let's go ahead and open the camera app and see what comes up. Again, when you open the camera app, maybe if it's for the first time, you might have to accept some permissions. This is not the first time that I have taught on this app. I have taught you this app in person, and so you might not see these notifications asking for permissions. Instead, what you might see is either whatever this front camera is pointing at, so it might be yourself, or what the back camera is pointing to. Only one will be turned on. Let's check it out. Gonna tap on the camera app. Okay. And so it seems that this camera has opened up the back one for me. I'm going to walk you through some of the buttons here to take basic photos using either one of your cameras. For this first half of the demo, I'm just going to show you how to take pictures using the settings that are offered with the back camera on. Again, I know the back camera is on because otherwise I'd be seeing my hand on this screen. But since it's pointing to the objects behind me, I can place my hand behind my iPad. I know it's using my back camera. The way to take a picture for either the front camera or the back camera is the same. You use this button here, this white circular button that'll show up along the right side of your screen. So taking a picture is that simple. Simply do one tap of that button right there, and it should capture the picture. Let's try it. I'm going to take a picture of just this very zoomed in background of these notebooks that I have behind my iPad here. Okay. And let's see how it goes. Just again, one simple tap. If you noticed, my camera kind of did a flash of the screen there, and there was a preview here that showed up, or a thumbnail of the photo. That's another way that I know that the picture was taken. Some things to note about taking a photo. Even though you could simply just touch that circle to take the picture, there might be some things you want to keep in mind. So for example, if I wanted to focus on a particular part of my frame, I would just tap my finger on that part, and you'll notice a yellow square appear. Okay? So anywhere I tap, that yellow square is doing its best to focus. Also keep in mind that the iPads we have, they do their best to focus in on an object that's nearby, but it can only do it so well. So if you have an object that's too close to the camera that you're using, again, either the front or the back, it might have a hard time of making it a crystal clear picture. You might have to scoot that object back a bit. Okay, but anyway, so as you touch the screen, you could pick your focus. Generally, when you first open up the camera app, it'll select the focus probably in the center. If you ever wish to lock that focus, maybe some of you notice that it tends to shift around as it tries to guess what the best part of the picture should focus on. Simply leave your finger on until you see this, AEAF lock. That means that focus square is going to stay put. It's not going to go away until you change it again. This is a quick tip. Another key thing to keep in mind is this icon right here. It looks like a yellow sun, or you might see this, a slash on the circle. That is talking about this mode called live. To put it as simply as I could, it's taking a picture, but it's also at the same time kind of recording like 3 seconds of the photo and the sound. So that means it's like a picture that could potentially have motion in it if whatever it is that you're taking a picture of is something that can move. So you might want to turn that on or off depending on what you want to take a picture of and the kind of effect that you're going for. For now, I'm going to leave live mode off. All right, so another thing you might want to wonder is, well, how do I zoom in? Okay, so this is going to be where you zoom in right here. This is a plus and minus little dial, and there's a yellow circle there that's showing you where it currently is on the whole magnitude of it. So if I wanted to zoom in on this white table, I would drag this circle up to the plus, and it will zoom in. Again, the more you zoom in, the harder of a time our iPads are going to have giving you a better quality photo. It might even appear a bit more grainy. And then just drag it down back to the minus sign if you want to zoom out. You can also do this motion, pinching and spreading your fingers to zoom in and out on an object. Again, it's going to zoom in where your focus is too. So since I've locked it, it's only going to zoom in on this center here. But I could just undo that by touching away and letting it focus elsewhere. And therefore, zoom in a little elsewhere. Maybe you've also heard of landscape versus portrait mode. So that's actually just a matter of flipping your iPad so that it's either being held horizontally or vertically. That will affect how your photo appears. So for example, right now my iPad is horizontal and therefore it's in its landscape mode. But if I wanted it to be a portrait kind of style, I would simply I would grab my iPad and I would flip it so that it's vertical. The only reason why that wouldn't happen is if you have it so that it's locked and it wouldn't go. But let's flip my iPad, see if this works. And there. It's up and down, and likewise, the camera itself has flipped so that my photo would actually end up in this portrait or vertical setting. It'll show up this way. Let's see if we take a picture of this. Let's see if the photo itself is in this portrait or vertical setting. I touch on the thumbnail. And just to even make sure all the more, let's flip it. And yes, it stays in this vertical view. Okay. So all that to show you that, yes, you can set it up so that your iPad takes either a portrait or landscape photo. It's all just a matter of flipping your iPad, literally grabbing it and flipping it to that orientation. Just going to adjust here to lay it back. There it goes. Okay. So before I talk about these other options up here that you might be curious about, I also want to mention the difference between using the front camera and the back camera. How do I switch it so that I use the other? Some of you might be familiar with the term selfie, right? So that's referring to using the front camera so that it's pointing at yourself. So if you ever wanted to switch to that mode, or to switch between the front and back camera, I should say, use this feature. It's this switch right here. You could tell from my hand, hello, that I have used, or I'm currently using this front camera. And you can see my finger, which is pointing at the front camera, is also being shown on my iPad screen. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's the same way to take a picture. If you ever wanted to use this mode, you just use this white circle. Tap it once, and it takes the photo. I'll switch back. And that's how I go back to the other camera that I was using. So use that feature right there. Looks like a little switch to flip between the front and the back cameras. Another tip. Now I've been saying quickly touch the camera button, the capture button there, the white circle. Well, if you didn't, you might take more than one photo. One touch takes one picture. leaving your finger down for more than a few seconds will take multiple photos. They're known as bursts. All right, so what about some of these other options here that I've mentioned for photos? So these right here, we talked about this live one, turning it on, like I said, to put it as simply as I could. It's taking a photo, but also recording a few seconds of audio and of any motion. So I'll try to demonstrate that for you again, just to talk about it a bit more. So say I have my hand back here. Okay, I could move my hand back and forth like this for this demo, just so that when you see me take a picture of this frame, it's also going to record my fingers moving back and forth. Let me demonstrate. Okay, I'm going to take a picture with the live setting on. Okay, now let's see what this live feature does. I'm going to go to the thumbnail or a preview of my photo here. I'm going to tap just so that you could see the full picture. It looks like a regular still photo. But because I know it was a live feature, or I could tell by tapping it and seeing the label here, live, I know that it could also move or give me back any sound that may have shown up when I took the picture. So I'm going to leave my finger on here for a few seconds to see if it moves. Right? And there, it stopped. So if you ever take a live photo, check out your picture and leave your finger on the picture to see if it moves or gives you any sound that might have been recorded with it. So that is a live picture. I'm going to go back to the camera. All right. I'm going to jump down to this one. It looks like a little clock, and so that is actually a timer. Timers would be especially helpful if you are going to take a group photo using the front camera or the selfie mode. And you could put your iPad, prop it up somewhere, step aside, get yourself placed after you set the timer on. So let's check this out. So I'm going to touch the timer icon here, and I see 3 options: off, 3S, and 10S. The S stands for seconds. And what is in yellow is what is selected. So currently the timer is off. But if I put 3 seconds, it turns yellow there. It shows up the label. And now, whenever I'm ready, I will hit the white circle, and then it will count off for me on the screen. 3, 2, 1, and then take a set of photos. So yes, more than one picture. Again, also known as a burst. So let's see. I'm going to hit the capture button. All right, and it took some pictures. Let's see what it looks like with 10S. So again, to set it to 10 seconds, I just tap it. I choose 10 seconds instead. And whenever I'm ready, I take the picture. So again, the seconds are good, especially if you're taking a group shot. You can place yourselves. All right. So I'm going to turn this off. So again, to turn it off, just touch where it says the seconds and then tap off. Let's take a look at that photo. Okay. I wanted to clarify something. So if you leave your live setting on, it will not take multiple photos for that timer setting. Normally it does if you have your live setting off, but if you have it on, it will not take multiple pictures. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You see it says live for this timed photo. But yes, otherwise it would take many pictures. Okay, now let's talk about some other stuff here, and that's what's below right here. This is like a dial. I can go up and down this dial and choose different kinds of settings, or I should say camera options. There are camera options for videos, and there are camera options for different kinds of photos. Normally when you open up the camera app, it will open up to photo. And that's where you see all of these options, and you could take a regular picture. But you could change it so that there are other things you could do with the camera. So for example, if I move up this dial, the next one is square, which doesn't do much except not give you the live option, and it takes literally a square-shaped picture. Go to Pano, and you could take a panoramic photo, but all the other settings are off. Okay, to briefly explain panoramic photo, it takes a panorama of your environment, and it tells you in which direction to take it. So you would press the capture button and then, let go. You don't need to hold it. You then begin to literally pick up your iPad and move it in the direction that it's telling you to go. You could flip it by tapping on the arrow if you prefer to go upwards. Or you could do it side to side too. Again, it's all a matter of moving your camera around so that you tell it which way you want it to go, either left to right or up to down. Okay, so that's Pano, square, and then of course the whole time we've been on photo. Okay, now what's above the dial are all the video recording options. So video. You notice when I go to video, some of the stuff also changed. Okay, so for one, the capture button that was white turned red. And there's also a timer here. Okay, so this means that I could take a video by tapping once on this red button, and my timer will also go off to show me how long I've been recording for. Let me demonstrate. So if I'm ready to record, I just tap the red button, and watch the timer count down for how long I've been recording. So it's that simple. If I want to stop, I now hit the red square. So again, that shows up because, I started recording, so it turned into this stop button. When I hit it, it turns back into that red circle to record a new video. All right, just to check it out, let's go to the thumbnail, see if it worked. Okay, I don't know it's a video until I see these options here to pause and play and do the sound. Right, and there's no, I didn't record any motion, of course, so. But yes, it did take the video for me. I think normally now, when you take a video and you open it up, your iPad will play it automatically, but it will turn off the sound. So if you're wondering, why can't I hear my video, tap on that sound icon and it should play the sound. Okay, let's go back. Oh, and before I move on, you could take a selfie video. So you notice the only other option that's on is this camera switch. So you could flip it to use the other camera. And same thing, you would just hit the record button to take a video using that front or back camera, depending on whichever one you've switched it to. Okay, now let's move on. So the next one up this dial, slow-mo. Doesn't look any different here, except the white circle around it just seems to have some extra line detail. Slow-mo, what it does is kind of what it says it does. It will convert anything that you record into slow motion. So try that out. You could leave your iPad out somewhere, just, tap slow-mo and then hit the record button. And after a few seconds, just watch it and see how it goes. It converts everything to slow motion and then does, yes, change the audio so that it sounds much deeper. Slows down the sound as well. Okay, and the last one up this dial is time-lapse. So time-lapse does the opposite of slow-mo. It will basically fast forward everything you record and play it back to you at a really fast speed. And the same way to record is the same for this one too. You just tap the red circle and it will begin to record everything. Once you stopped and you watch it, you'll see it fast forward through all of the events you recorded, like a, picked up video. Okay. So those are all of the different options that you have here on camera. I always like to put it back to photo when I'm done using my camera, because I think that's the thing that's most oftenly used for the camera is the photo setting. All right, so I hope this was helpful. Check out the next video that we're gonna have on photo and video editing. All right, take care everyone. Bye-bye.